Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast. I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Mahjooba Bianchi of 3T Institute Incorporated. Mahjooba, it's awesome having you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Gresham.
Definitely super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Mahjooba so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Mahjooba is the CEO of 3T Institute. It is a vocational training school that helps working professionals obtain skills and knowledge to increase their value in the job market. Mahjooba has over 15 years of project management experience and an MBA in IT project management with an undergraduate degree from George Mason University in government and international relations. Her passion in life is to drive motivation and enable individuals to reach their career heights through education. Mahjooba, are you ready to speak to the IMCEO community?
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you. Yes, let's get it started.
Let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I want to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started with your CEO story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It all started with me getting laid off from a corporate job I had. And I thought back to it, I'm like, I can't really be putting all my eggs in the same basket, you know? And that had me 7 years ago, that is, kind of start my own consulting firm to do proposal work with the federal government. And at that time, I partnered with two of my really good friends, and we started the company. It went really well, and then I actually about a year and a half ago was able to give that to one of the partners and start 3T Institute. But it really was about minimizing my risk and taking some control over my own career.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. It's so funny, that you said that. And I think we talked a little bit about, I got laid off from my, job, and that kind of flipped a light switch of like what's stable and what's not, and makes you look at things differently. Like sometimes the more I guess low risk thing you could do is to bet on yourself and to start something, then sometimes, being beholden to sometimes a lot of the organizations and businesses.
I'm so with you on that. I think for me personally, I always take a look at what I can control. And at that moment, when I was getting laid off and I was looking at that letter, I was like, I have no control here. I
Mhm.
now go out being jobless. What now? And so it really had me rethink about this, having a job, being an adult, and being able to survive on your own. But yeah, I agree with you. It's almost like those situations in life where it triggers other things, but other better things. And that's what happened 7 years ago.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love that word trigger. And I think so many times we forget that once that door closes, a lot of times it leads you to a even better door than sometimes we even thought. So I know that's definitely been the case, for you. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about, all the awesome things you're doing with 3T Institute. Could you take us through a little bit more on how you work with your clients and serve them?
Absolutely. 3T Institute, the word itself is the company name, came from the fact of how I like to teach professionals. The 3T stands for three-tiered approach of learning. What I realized over the span of about 5 to 6 years that I've been teaching, I realized that the traditional classroom wasn't really working for the group of individuals that were coming to take certification courses. They either gave up midway or became too overwhelming, and they had families and careers to deal with and just never finished a course, and they were out of pocket about $2,500, if not more. And some would go and take the certification exams and fail. So that kind of a lot of my students would then come back to me and say, hey, Mahjooba, I want to take your course again. And so just because it was a goal, it was a professional goal, they knew that taking these certification classes would actually get them that next promotion, salary increase, that house they wanted to buy, the vacation they wanted to go on. And so one day I was kind of thinking through things, and I said, you know what if I provided a structured learning, accountability, and coaching where I'm helping these individuals from start to finish, and they have access to everything, like nothing ever expires in my class until these people hold the certification in their hand. And this was an idea about now almost 2 years, and I started it. It was very slow. People were like, no, I don't really believe you. And I said, well, just come join and let me know what you think. And now fast forward almost 2 years, I have over 200 students. Most of my students come from referrals. I work with a lot of corporations who want to see their training funds being utilized and used on within their company. And another thing I focus on, not to go on too much, is active learning. What I always say is, how can you apply what you're learning in your current job? For the example of project management, I think a lot of times we can learn the framework and say, here's a charter and here's a project management plan, but how do you use it? And that's what the coaches at 3T Institute do. As you're learning, we tell you how to utilize these different documents. Not only that, we actually assign our students templates that they have to complete based on a real life example or a scenario that we have provided them.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. I appreciate you for breaking that down and sharing that with us, because I think so many times we obviously know the importance of these certifications, of getting whatever accomplishment you want to get for yourself, but also for your organization, if they're like paying for it or promoting you to do it. But I think so many times we skip over creating that environment that allows people to succeed. So I love that accountability. I love that coaching piece, because so many times we skip over that, and we don't realize that we're not setting people up for success. So I love that you've been able to kind of do that for so many people.
Yeah, thank you. It's worked really well.
Yeah. And I don't know if you already touched on this. Do you consider that to be what I call your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart? Is it that approach to how you teach people? Is that what you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
My secret sauce is really being myself and working with these students and treating them like individuals they are, respecting the knowledge that they have already, respecting the experience and the backgrounds they come from, and knowing that they're utilizing 3T Institute to gain more knowledge, and all they're looking for is some guidance. Part of what I do is I build a relationship. I think that's my secret sauce. When they enroll, they register. I meet with every single student when they come into 3T Institute. I show them around how to utilize the entire system. I remove some of the roadblockers, simple ones, as we may, call them. Like when I go through the welcome and onboarding session, I'm like, hey, don't forget to favorite this link because you don't want to be looking for it. Or when you're downloading these resources, create a folder so you know where to get them from. Simple tips, but they love it. They love that they have someone walking them through a tool that they're not familiar with. And I think that's the number one secret sauce. And then, of course, the system itself that helps them to reach their professional development goals.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. And I always say, like, if you stay true to yourself, if you run your own race, you'll never lose. But not only does that help us out individually, I think it also reminds other people to kind of run their own races as well. And I think when as you said so well, to be able to talk and communicate and to build relationships with the human aspect of business, of what they are, what they're trying to accomplish, I think that's when things go to another level. So I definitely appreciate that secret sauce. And I know your clients do as well, too, because it really, um obviously the education and all those things are important, but I think the why and the connection, and really to engage and build those relationships really takes things to another level.
Absolutely. One of the things, we have a lot of parents that
Mhm.
are taking these courses. So sometimes the kids will pop up, from the background. And what I do is I have a 3-year-old who just walks in to my office in the evenings. And then so I have her and I put her on my lap and I make it very comfortable. Like, hey guys, I'm a mom. I used to work a corporate job and run a business. It's okay. And I did this. I received my MBA and I received my PMP certification just like you see right here with juggling, being a parent, juggling the world that you're in. So I understand. And that's what I try to kind of bring into the class, that this isn't a stuffy class where you just can't be you. Be you, be a parent, be a professional, be busy, but let's also learn and let's get you that promotion and let's get you that salary increase in the midst of what we call a chaotic life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you see somebody that's successful, and we talked about that environment, you see somebody that's been able to do it, it kind of reminds us that, hey, I can do it too. And I can juggle all those things and make it happen. And I don't have to be somebody else in order to make that happen, which I think is one of the most phenomenal things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be
Mhm.
like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Consistency. And I haven't always been consistent. But when I became consistent and I became organized, I realized that I was getting a lot of my work done and that I was, now reaching to bigger tasks that I could tackle on. And part of that consistency is about a simple trick, excuse me, that my business coach taught me is to have a place where you can do a brain dump. So whether that's a notebook or on your phone, I use Trello. So what I do is I have a Trello chat just with myself. I call that the Mahjooba Life brain dump. And everything throughout the day goes right into that brain dump. And then in the evening, I take a look. This is everyday kind of thing. I take a look at my brain dump and I organize the tasks within the upcoming weeks and days. So days and weeks. And I actually schedule them in 30-minute increments. So now I feel a lot less overwhelmed. And I know that I'm tackling the things that have been in the back of my mind. That has been the one trick that I use all the time. And the other thing I do, and I can show you this, is I have a daily planner. I have a daily, what I call, like a roadmap. It has a 30 minutes slots in here. It has my brain dump that I had in my Trello app. And so it allows me to start my day knowing what I'm going to do from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And if I like to schedule some things with the kids, in the evening, I'll write that down too. But I take care of business, kids, life, everything within those 8 hours. So then I can just relax and enjoy my evening.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. I love both of those hacks. I say so often the systems will set you free, and to have that opportunity to know that I haven't missed anything because you've been able to kind of schedule them out as you showed us in a planner is absolutely huge because it allows you to understand what you need to do or not need to do and how you can spend time, how you want to spend time with your family or your kids. And I love the Mahjooba brain dump. I absolutely love that phrase. Make sure to patent that because
Yeah.
you get that opportunity to really not ignore all the things that come up, not ignore sometimes the chaos, but you don't have to hold on to it. You have a place to put it, and then you can organize it later. And I think so many times we're trying to ignore those thoughts or we're trying to put it in a certain time frame. But if you already have a system in place to just basically capture all those things and organize them later, I think that's an absolutely huge hack.
It's been really helpful. And honestly, it has reduced my stress levels by 80%.
Yeah.
I can say 80, the other 20 you can't control. But yeah,
Right.
it's been great. And, give it a try. Those that are listening, I think it'll be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So that could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something if you were to hop into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
you know what would I think being careful who you trust. I think that's important, but more than anything else, cherishing every single relationship, whether no matter how old you are, no matter where you go in life, respecting others, appreciating who they are, maintaining good relationships, genuinely caring, whether that's a coworker or a boss, checking in, text messaging, and not because you need business from them, but because genuinely you care. And I have to say that I have done that throughout my life, but I realized, in my mid to late 20s, that relationships were so important and that just building them and keeping good friends around, and that today, actually, it is my network who backs me up. When I post something on LinkedIn, I'm actually very proud of that because I know my network will like it, they will comment, and they'll say, yes, Mahjooba is the expert in her field, she isn't lying or anything like that. So it just has been through building these relationships, doing good work for people. That would be the one nugget that is important. But as a business owner, what you come to find out is what I learned through my first business was that going into business with friends sounds amazing. But if I could go in a time machine and tell myself, I would say, no, don't do it. Go on to, do your own business. And, and if you do go into business with friends, to have firm contract kind of rules and how you're going to operate as a company. So that would be one of the, nuggets that I would say if someone's looking to start a business or is thinking about becoming a CEO, take a look at your partners. Know that you may be friends outside of the company, but when you're in the company and you're working together, it's all about meeting its mission and vision. And the company could be going great, but there comes a moment where relationships, you start questioning it. And I think that's what I would tell myself, to my younger self, if I went back.
Yeah, I absolutely love those nuggets, and especially, I think they overlap in some degree because I think so many times in our relationships we kind of want to be on the same page to some degree, and I think if we're talking about a business partnership with a friend, then you want to make sure as the business grows, or if there's a certain task, you're on the same page, and having those agreements and those processes, as we kind of talked about, in place helps ensure that everybody's on the same page and you can reach that mission and that goal. And just along the same lines, the relationships, the networks that you have, so many times when you focus on building those relationships, not necessarily to get anything at that time, sometimes it pays a lot of fruits later on. Sometimes you get to pay those fruits to other people. And I think when you have that back and forth and people that you can really stand by, we see a lot of the benefits, but sometimes we don't even see the benefits and the opportunities that people like and share what we're doing, or they promote and refer us and all those things. But I think if we're always putting our good foot forward and building those relationships, and phenomenal things can happen from there.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Mahjooba, I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Mahjooba, what does being a CEO mean to you?
A CEO means to me as being someone in a role where I can make an impact, a positive impact in someone's life. I have been a humanitarian. Most of my, growing up, what has always resonated to me was how can I help the world? The goal was to work for the World Bank. I did do a little bit of work with them and USAID and all of that. I've done some interesting projects there. Um, when I received my degree in government international relations, it was to work for the United Nations because I felt like I wanted to give back to every person in life. But at that time, some political things were going on with the UN, and I backtracked on that. But I never lost, my original mission of giving back. So I continued to work with the Department of Veterans Affairs on projects that impacted our veterans, and that gave me happiness. That gave me joy. That you know what, Mahjooba, you're working on a project that where a veteran doesn't have to die waiting in line for healthcare. Those were the kind of projects I worked on. And so it always went back to that. And when I got into teaching, then it was into helping a mom, a single mom, make more money, or, a dad who's been not, who's been passed on promotions. Get them to get that promotion, get them to build the confidence. These individuals who just need a person to tell them, you have everything you need. Here's how to tweak things a little bit. And so as a CEO, the work I do with 3T Institute, again, it's all about giving back. It's all about making an impact. And for someone to say, hey, Mahjooba, thank you so much. I can now, buy a house thanks to this promotion I received or the course I took with you. That's it. To me, that's happiness. That's what it means for me to be a CEO. And I've met my life's mission.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. And I love, how you kind of talked about how it has evolved. Because I think the mission itself, it's been true and consistent. But the way that you've done it has changed. And the way that we do it all changes and evolves with us and with sometimes external things that happen. But I think at the end of the day, if you stay true to your mission and you want to help make an impact with yourself, but also in the people's lives that you serve, it's just a phenomenal place to be. So I truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate your time as well. And what I want to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Absolutely. Connect with me. If you have any questions, ask me. I'm on Instagram as 3T Institute, Mahjooba _3T. I'm on LinkedIn with my full name, Mahjooba Bianchi, as well as on Facebook. So connect if you have any career questions or you just want to know more about 3T Institute. Would love to talk to you about that. The other thing we have is we have monthly cultural events where we do open mics for talented artists to come and share poetry literature or just readings, this is a free event that I've built for our community. And so it's a good place to just share and talk about who you are, aside from being a professional. We always talk about those careers, but I think we're more than that. So if you're interested in any of those things, reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Mahjooba. We will have the links and information in the show notes. Definitely appreciate you for providing, so many opportunities for people to be able to level up, so to speak, in their businesses and their lives, and makes huge impacts, for so many people. And of course, those opportunities as well to kind of, I guess, let your hair down, so to speak, and to be yourself and to communicate and really build those relationships as well too. So truly appreciate you for all the awesome work you're doing, your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.